It's day 12 of the hush money trial. Here's Trump arriving at court.
Mr. Trump, is Michael Cohen a liar?
Are you going to testify? I have a gag order as to that first question. As you know, they've taken away my constitutional rights, so I'm not allowed to answer that question. This has never happened in this country before. It's a ridiculous thing. It's a ridiculous case. I did nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong. Take a look at Greg Jarrett this morning. He went on. Take a look at Andrew McCarthy or Jonathan Turley or Mark Levin. It's like they say there's no case here. And yet the judge has gagged me, and I'm not allowed to talk about, I guess, his total conflict. The judge is totally conflicted, and you ought to take a look at it. And I'm not supposed to be talking about it. But I am allowed to say that the judge has a conflict that like nobody's ever had before. You ought to take a look at it. He's taken away my constitutional right to speak. I was in Miami this weekend, and reporters are asking me questions, the same questions like you're asking me, and I have to say I have a gag order, I can't speak about it. Never happened before, ever. Number one. Number two, it's a fake trial. They have no case, and it's been absolutely proven now. They have no case whatsoever. This is Alvin Bragg doing it for political reasons for Biden. This is a Biden trial. He's a crooked president. Now, it just came out, Columbia just canceled their commencement. Axios. Columbia just canceled their commencement. That shouldn't happen. And it also came out that the protesters, many of the protesters, are backed by Biden's donors. Okay? Are you listening, Israel? I hope you're listening, Israel. Hope you're getting smart. But they're backed by Biden donors. That's where the money's coming from. And I'm not surprised at all. There's many other articles, many of them having to do with the gag order and the unconstitutionality having to do with the gag order. And it is unconstitutional, and it shouldn't be allowed. And I wish people could move a little bit quicker, the appellate courts, because the whole world is watching this, and they see what's happening. More importantly, frankly, they have no case. They have absolutely no case. It's a political hoax. It's election interference. Anything they can do, and even the witnesses they want to bring up, they have nothing to do with the case. This is a ridiculous situation. Not fair, but we will fight. Thank you.
Mr. President, how's your defense team doing?
How's the judge?
The judge issued his strongest warning to Donald Trump. Judge Merchan said, quote, "Going forward, this court will have to consider a jail sentence. The last thing I want to do is put you in jail." After he ruled that he willfully violated the gag order for the 10th time. In Judge Merchan's written ruling, he said Trump was held in contempt because he made public statements about the jury and how it was selected. He said, in doing so, the defendant not only called into question the integrity and therefore the legitimacy of these proceedings, but again raised the specter of fear for the safety of the jurors and of their loved ones. The judge said that constituted a direct attack on the rule of law. But it's important to note that the judge has said multiple times that the gag order is meant to be a shield and not a sword to be used by Trump's opponents. Therefore, in relation to posts that relate to calling Michael Cohen a liar, the judge said he couldn't find beyond a reasonable doubt that Trump's statements were not protected political speech made in reference to political attacks by Cohen. After that, there were no bombshell moments on the stand, but the evidence prosecutors introduced today was crucial. Each of the 34 felony charges against Trump corresponds to an invoice, ledger entry, or check tied to reimbursing Michael Cohen for the hush money payment to Stormy Daniels. Today, we saw all those documents. Prosecutors introduced this evidence by questioning Trump Organization ex-controller Jeffrey McConney and an accounting employee named Deborah Tarasoff. We heard that once Cohen's repayments started coming from Trump's personal account in spring 2017, the checks would be sent to the White House for him to personally sign. And we saw his unmissable, jagged signature, etched in Sharpie ink, on several of those payments. Here's Trump leaving court.
Mr. President, how do you think your defense team is doing?
Very well.
Mr. Trump, why did you pay Michael Cohen?
government just said that they want 2 to 3 more weeks. That means they want to keep me off the trail for 2 to 3 more weeks. Now, anybody in there would realize there's no case. They don't have a case. Every legal scholar says they don't have a case. This is just a political witch hunt. It's election interfering. And this is really, truly election interference, and it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. And in every poll, I'm leading by a lot. And they figure maybe they can do something here. Maybe they can do. This case should be over. This case should have never been brought. By the way, Alvin Bragg didn't want to bring the case. Your previous DA didn't bring the case. The FEC said they threw it away. They said, you got to be kidding. Southern District didn't bring the case. Nobody brought the case. And then Alvin Bragg brought the case as soon as, when I'm running and leading, that's when they decided, let's go bring a case. So it's a disgrace. But we just heard 2 to 3 more weeks. I thought they were finished today. And they are finished today if you look at what's happening. I thought they were going to be finished today, and they want 2 to 3 more weeks. The judge asked them, and playing right into the judge's hands. The judge is so happy about 2 to 3 more weeks. Because they all want to keep me off the campaign trail. That's all this is about. This is about election interference. How do we stop it? And it's a disgrace. And then you have the other thing that maybe is even more disgraceful is the gag order, where I can't basically, I have to watch every word I tell you people. You ask me a question, a simple question, I'd like to give it, but I can't talk about it. Because this judge has given me a gag order and said you'll go to jail if you violate it. And frankly, you know what? Our Constitution is much more important than jail. It's not even close. I'll do that sacrifice any day. But what's happening here is a disgrace, and the appellate courts ought to get involved. New York looks so bad. The New York system of so-called justice looks so bad between this judge in Gorin and Kaplan. You triple teamed with corrupt judges. It's a disgrace to our nation. So I should be out there campaigning, and they said 2, and the way I look at it, they're really talking about 3 weeks more. And by the way, they didn't even have enough to fill out the time. You know, we got out early today because they didn't have another witness. The government didn't have another witness. So they didn't even have time to fill it out. And then they complained. So I'll tell you what, I hope you report the story accurately. This is a real threat to our country, and it's a serious threat to the Constitution. In the meantime, Columbia University announced today they're not going to have their graduation. They're not going to have a ceremony. And that's happening all over the country. Our country is a mess. And the most important day in the history of our country is going to be November 5th of this year. That's called Election Day. It's going to be the most important day in the history of our country. What's going on with this judge is a disaster. Between the gag orders and the hatred he's got for me, and everybody sees it, okay, and you see it better than anybody. God bless the USA.
Is Stormy Daniels a liar? Is Michael Cohen a liar?
That's it for day 12. If you want to receive more updates on this trial, then I'd appreciate if you could subscribe to my channel. Until next time.